Okay, now we're going to take a look at the notes over karyotypes. Karyotype is an arrangement of the chromosome. It's a picture of the chromosomes from someone. And what they do is they take a cell, usually one that's dividing at metaphase because it's easier to organize in maybe prophase or metaphase. And they'll take that cell and they'll take those chromosomes out and they'll make a picture of the chromosomes all scattered around in there, and then they'll arrange them according to size. And karyotypes usually go from the larger, chromosome number 1, to the smallest. And we have 2 of each chromosome. These look like little X's because maybe this is the original chromosome here, and then it was replicated or duplicated, made another copy. This one is the original. One's the other side's a copy. They're held together at the centromere, so that counts as one chromosome because they have one centromere. Remember. And then there's one copy came from mom, one copy came from dad, and here they've copied themselves, so they're ready to go through mitosis. And then we have a chromosome number 2. One chromosome came from mom, one from dad, one from mom, one from dad, and so on. Okay. So a chromosome is a karyotype is a picture of all the chromosomes. Remember, the chromosomes contain the DNA, and it's the DNA wrapped around special proteins, histones, and other proteins that cause them to condense and bunch up into those little X's that can be seen and arranged then into the karyotype. And doctors and scientists use these to look and make sure a person has all the chromosomes they're supposed to have, and all the parts of it. There's a short arm and a long arm. Short arms referred to as the P arm. The long parts referred to as the Q arm, and that's based on where the centromere is. And from there up would be the P, and from there down would be the Q arm of that chromosome. Okay. So they look and make sure do they have both parts or the whole thing there. And we looked at mutations the other day. Chromosomal mutations, sometimes there might be a deletion. If it's large enough that they can see when they arrange the karyotype, they might conceive that. Sometimes there might be an insertion, making it bigger. Or a translocation, maybe one's broken off here and stuck over on another one. They can look for those types of mutations looking at those karyotypes. Okay, so chromosomes 1 through 22, those are what we refer to as autosomes, meaning that they're the regular chromosomes, not the ones that determine sex. Chromosome pair number 23, that's what we call the sex chromosomes. That's where you're going to find either the XX or an XY. And remember, as it notes here, females or girls are going to be XX, boys are going to be XY. And as you can see here, they don't always put them in that order because this is the X chromosome here. The X chromosome is going to be bigger. The Y chromosome is going to be small. So this would be a male because it has an X chromosome and a Y chromosome. Anytime there's a Y chromosome or even a piece of a Y chromosome there, the person will be a male because that Y chromosome contains the information it codes for the proteins that give the male characteristics. Okay. So chromosome pairs 1 through 22, those are the autosomes. They carry just the normal traits that all people have. And then down here, these are the sex chromosomes with the X carrying the traits that make a male a male. The Y carrying the traits that make the male a male. So if it has a Y, it's going to be a male. If it has 2 X's, it would be a female. So notice the center of each chromosome. That's called the centromere. Okay, and you can kind of see them. They're spread out a little bit on the bigger ones, but the centromere is right there. It's what divides it into what we call the short arm and the long arm, the P arm and the Q arm. It's also what holds together the 2 copies of that one chromosome. And the 2 copies there. They hold together at the centromere. We talked about the centromeres when we talked about mitosis and meiosis. It holds those sister chromatids together, and then they pull apart at anaphase. So notice the center of each chromosome. They're held together by the centromere. Is there a line running through each centromere in the picture above? Yes or no? Yes, it lined them up by their centromeres. And the lines running through those centromeres. It says, how many chromosomes does a normal person have? Well, normally we have 23 pair, so 23 times 2 would be 46. It says, look at this karyotype labeled figure 4. Do you see any chromosomal abnormalities? Yes or no? Okay, so we have 2 chromosome 1s, 2 2s, 2 3s, 2 4s. Everything looks okay going through these, 2 of each one, just like we would expect. Okay, 2 21s, 2 22s, and then we get down to 23. That's our sex chromosomes, determines our gender. And here we have the Y, so this is a male because it does have a Y, but it also has 2 X's. So this would be a disorder because it has 2 X's, but it's still a male. Even though it has 2 X's, it's still a male because it has a Y. And anytime there's a part of a Y there, a Y at all there, it's a male. Even though it does have 2 X's, this would be a case of non-disjunction that happened here. Those did not separate during anaphase like they should have, so maybe we ended up with the egg that had 2 of those X chromosomes in it, and then it was fertilized by the sperm from the dad that had the Y chromosome. And then we ended up with the XXY situation. But this would still be a male because it does have that Y chromosome. It has a mutation, but it would still be a male. So look at the karyotype to the right here. Is it a male or female? And is it normal or abnormal? Are there any abnormalities in it or not? Well, we have 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2 of all these, just like we would expect. Examining our karyotype here. 2 21s, 2 22s. Okay, then we get down to 23. And there's, we should have either an XX or an XY. Okay. There's no Y chromosome, so remember the Y is the one that's going to determine. There's no Y, so this would be a female because there's no Y, but she only has one X. Again, this would have been likely a case of non-disjunction where the egg ended up with no X chromosome in it. Then it was fertilized by the X chromosome from the sperm, so it ended up with one X chromosome. So this would still be a female because there is no Y, but she would have a disorder. So which chromosome is the longest and has the most genes? Chromosome number 1 is going to be the longest, it's going to be the largest. Again, they're arranged from size. 1 would be the largest, down to 22, which would be the smallest, and then our X and Y's down here at the ends. The shortest would be 22, fewest genes located on the end. Remember, a gene is the part that codes for a protein. In a normal karyotype, how many autosomal chromosomes are there? There are going to be 22 pair, 1 through 22. Those are autosomes, not involved in determining the gender. So there would be 22 pair or 44 autosomes. And then a pair should be a pair of 6 chromosomes right there. This person would only have 44, 45 chromosomes instead of the normal 46. In the normal karyotype, how many sex chromosomes are? There should be 2, 1 pair, either an XX or an XY. Non-disjunction in a chromosomal mutation is a chromosomal mutation that occurs during meiosis. It occurs at anaphase when the chromosomes or sister chromatids do not separate appropriately. And then you end up with an egg or sperm with too many, and then another egg or sperm with too few chromosomes. So the definition of non-disjunction would be chromosomes do not pull apart correctly during anaphase, and it's going to result in either too few or too many chromosomes. One type of non-disjunction can result in a trisomy, and that would be 3 copies. Tri meaning 3. That would be 3 copies of a chromosome. Down syndrome would be an example of that. If chromosome number 21, if it ended up with 3 here because of non-disjunction, then that would be known as Down syndrome. said, what does the person below have, and are they male or female? Well, this is a case where we get over here to our 21st pair. And our 21st actually ends up being a triplet. There are 3 chromosome 21s here. Trisomy 21. Trisomy 21, also known as Down syndrome. So this person would have Down syndrome. And here we have 2 X's at our sex chromosomes here. So this would be a female. This XX at number 23 here. So this would be a female, and she would have Down syndrome or trisomy 21 as a result of nondisjunction. And that's it for those notes. Next, we're going to try some activities with karyotypes.